All right, thank you, Ray. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having me here today. My name is Cameron Ross. I'm a sophomore at American University. I'm part of our incubator program, and I'm the founder of Salice. Now, I'm an avid hiker. I love hiking. My favorite hiking trail is not in a national park. It's actually in New River Gorge, West Virginia. It's absolutely beautiful when you get to the top. That's the view when you get there. I take it every year. But one year I really didn't enjoy it because instead of basking in all that nature had to offer, I spent the entire time picking up plastic litter scattered all over the hiking trail. I had trash bags full of plastic cups and lids and paper plates and pizza boxes, and it really aggravated me. But I also got to thinking, picking up all this trash, wouldn't it be nice if it kind of just naturally went away on its own? So one, I didn't have to pick it up, and it helped the environment rather than harm it. And so when I got home, I started doing a lot of research. And I was shocked to find that Americans go through over 138 billion plastic straws and over 500 billion plastic cups a year. 8% of our annual oil production goes towards developing plastic products, and over 10 million tons of plastic waste is dumped into our oceans every year. Only 1 in 1,800 plastic disposables actually make it to recycling facilities across the United States, and the maturity of the plastic industry has created a lot of barriers to entry by cost association for smaller companies. If we take a look at the food service industry as a whole, we see that it contributes 7.3 million of the 10 million tons of plastic waste dumped into our oceans, as well as allocated over $2 billion in terms of sale toward tableware and smallware in 2018 alone. The most interesting thing I found, though, was the fact that regulative bans started popping up all across the country, starting to ban single-use plastics. Seattle was the first to go, banning straws and cutlery, followed by some places in California where you can actually get jail time for serving a plastic straw there, I've heard. Some places, coastal cities in Florida have started to, Nantucket, and most recently, Washington, D.C. implemented a citywide ban on plastic straws and styrofoam cups going into full effect July 1st of this year. Hawaii and Colorado also have bills on the floor to ban single-use plastics in restaurants by 2020. Now, in my mind, this created a huge market opportunity. And I also knew that a lot of companies would be scrambling in such a short time frame to find sustainable solutions. Now, here's a list of some companies that were looking to minimize their single-use plastic waste. Not only were they looking to minimize their environmental impact, they were looking to do so with us, because they realized that while we can't solve the plastic epidemic, we can start to manage it. And what's more is together we can prevent it. And that's where Salice comes into play. Because Salice is a biodegradable and compostable goods company with aims to replace and eliminate single-use plastics in the food service industry. Our products are made entirely out of cornstarch from a material known as polylactic acid, PLA for short. The only inputs that go into it are literally cornstarch and water. That makes them non-toxic and oil-free, as well as compostable within commercial composting facilities within 40 days, or biodegradable on their own in about 2 years. Here's some examples of work that we can do. We started just selling our straws, and then it was a great end to the market for us, great way to learn how it works. And then just last month, we were able to introduce a full product line of compostable disposables for a more comprehensive offering to our clients to have a full net zero waste offering. Some things that set us apart from our competitors include the usability of our products. As you can see, they look, feel, and act just like traditional plastics. However, they're made entirely from corn. We are 22% cheaper than our nearest competitor in terms of bulk pricing for our straws. The degradation time of our products, as I mentioned, about 40 days in compost facilities to about 2 years on natural conditions, which is a remarkable feat compared to 200 plus years that traditional plastics take to decompose. And right now, we are one of the only companies in the market that offers full spec customizations to our products, size, color, weight, dimension, not just on straws, but takeout packaging, cups, lids, whatever dimensions you need, we can do that. And I'll show you some examples of that after the presentation. But the real thing that sets us apart is not the fact that our products, our end product, I should say, are sustainable, but the way we source our raw material is too. We source our raw material from non-agricultural plantations as to not invade poverty-stricken environments where corn is needed as an actual food source rather than going towards a product. We also source it from cornstarch production plants that go ahead and have cornstarch to make other products such as candy and cooking oil. Now, when they don't use all of the cornstarch in a batch rather than reusing it, I found that a lot of them actually just throw it away. So it enabled me to go talk to these plants and buy them for pennies on the dollar. And then also, it allows us, to have a very diverse supply chain, as well as exclusivity with these plants that we work with, the manufacturing plants, and as well as it's very cost effective and it's a great competitive advantage for us in terms of price comparison, as well as it makes for a truly renewable business model. So we've only been selling for about 5 months. going on 6 months now. And in that time frame, we've already identified national and international supply chain partners. We've created 3 different working revenue models with 3 different franchises and distributors. We're maintaining 18 to 25% gross margins on our straw sales, which is great considering the industry average is about 5 to 6%. We're now working with 3 distributors, 2 regional to the DC area and 1 national, PFG. We have 2 contracts with national and international franchises, as well as we've already delivered over 200,000 straws, and the contracts that we just received for purchase orders for the rest of this year will amount to 6 million straws to date. We have an active pipeline of 7 major franchise groups that we're currently working with, as well as we're very proud of the diverse customer base that we've already put together in such a short time frame, including international and national franchises, juice bars, coffee chains, mom and pop diners, or just to the consumer online looking to cut down on their plastic waste consumption. To put these numbers into perspective for you, our work this year so far, we'll already replace over 56,000 pounds of plastic waste that goes into our landfills and oceans. Now, breaking down the market size a little bit more, as I mentioned, the food service industry contributes about $2 billion in terms of sales towards tableware and smallware. That's relatively unchanged over the years. It's looking to increase, but simplicity's sake, keep it at $2 billion. We're obviously not going to get that number anytime soon, but we can break it down into segments and work towards it. What we're going to do, and what we've been doing, is targeting certain regions that are proactive and at the forefront of banning single-use plastics, so we can have those customers by default that have to use our products. And then we're looking to do about $30 million in the next 5 years, and then we can start to branch out towards and keep chipping away at that market share. In terms of competitors, we have 3 main competitors. One is World-Centric. They sell light PLA products. However, ours are significantly cheaper, as well as we place a larger support on customer emphasis, customer support. This is something that I've been finding is hugely important in this industry. Aardvark paper straws are the largest United States distributor of paper straws in the United States. But if you've ever used a paper straw, no matter how much paper is in it, you know that they can get pretty soggy, kind of fall apart in your drink. And as well as Aardvark's average price per straw is about 6 cents, and we can get contracts for about a penny and a half for our straws. And lastly, there's something new that's coming out called Hey Straws. I like to say, hey, don't use these. They're about 14 cents on average, which is not financially viable for franchises and bigger businesses, as well as a lot of chemicals go into their production and glue holding them together, so they're not too sustainable in the long run. In addition, our cost effectiveness makes us, puts us in our own niche in the market, a way that we sustainably source our raw material, as well as the customizations that we provide that also offers us higher profit margins. Breaking down financials, we're on track to do about $200,000 in revenue over the next 12 months, not the end of the year, and profit about just under $71,000. We're going to see a spike in our sales coming up very soon with purchase orders that we just received, as well as over the summer months, because our products are intended for cold drink and cold use only. So we're going to see a lot of demand with our distributors in that time frame. We're going to see a slight drop-off in the colder months, but we're looking to offset that by introducing PLA-lined coffee cups and lids that have a higher heat resistance, so we can keep those sales moving to push us into the next spring spike. I really would not be here today if it wasn't for my team. Again, I'm Cameron Ross. I go to American University. I'm a finance major, actually. It's not my first company. I actually worked for a microfinancing company that I helped grow to about 16 people before leaving that to focus on this full time. I love what I do now. I get to wear a lot of different hats. One day I'm doing accounting, next day business development, sales, talent acquisition. It's great. Elise Gilmore goes to George Mason University. She's a sustainability major. She does a lot of research, product development, and she's very good at finding businesses and people that are looking for products like ours and putting us in touch with them. Great outreach. And Talmadge Crom, unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it here and present with me today, but he also goes to American University. He specializes in supply chain management, and he does a lot of logistics and operations for us. Now, some things we're looking to accomplish over the next 3 to 6 months and conclude fulfilling these purchase orders that we've received and delivering those straws for our clients by June 1st. We're going to lock up 8 ongoing clients that we have by the 3rd quarter of this year with custom projects that we're working on. We want to really develop our sales team to accelerate our expansion into our targeted areas. We're going to expand from regional to national locations with the franchise that we're currently working with, which is Elevation Burger. We're currently in 15 locations, and we're looking to go to all 64 with them in the next couple of months. And lastly, over that entire time, we really want to continue developing that sales prospect pipeline and increasing that prospect to turnover ratio in a lower time frame. It takes a while to acquire clients. I can talk about that a little bit more in a little bit. In the event of a $40,000 capital injection, about $22,500 would go towards developing our inventory. Now, we have purchase orders that we really need to get out of our hair, as well as develop backlog inventory so we can go ahead and get that to distributors for the summer month to go ahead and keep up with their demand. Sales, about $8,500 would go towards sales and marketing that we need to keep moving ourselves into our targeted areas, keep getting traction to our name, garnering attention, and decreasing that prospect to client turnover ratio. We're also going to put about $4,800 towards some fixed costs that we're expected to incur over the next couple of months, as well as put about $4,200 to make sure that we're protected with our insurance, as well as being able to handle any miscellaneous costs that arise. Now, I heard a quote growing up. It always stuck with me. I can't tell you why, but it always has. It says that a business that only makes money is poor. And I really can't explain why that resonates with me a lot, but I really believe in it, and I want to give back to that exact quote, which is why we donate 5% of our profits to developing commercial composting facilities across the United States. Now, composting facilities employ 17 times as many people as trash incinerators and recycling plants, as well as have economical outputs as 4 times as much as them in terms of organic fertilizer that they can produce. Now, I could bend your ear about composting and everything all day long, but instead I'll leave it to any lingering questions that you have right now. TCU, thank you very much for everything.
Hey, I'll jump in here.
Oh, I'm sorry. By the way, I'm hearing impaired, going on deaf, so if you can just speak up for me, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, great. So firstly, great job on the presentation.
Thank you.
I think so much of being a good founder is being able to convey a confidence, a vulnerability, a trust. It's a delicate balance, and I think that you were able to do that. Some notes on the presentation itself. I liked the thoughtfulness around reducing your friction in your go-to-market strategy. So you are targeting the markets that already have the ban in effect, to make it a little bit easier on your sales process. So I thought that was great. Thought it was good thoughtfulness around the seasonality of the business, i.e. your sales are going to dip in the winter. This sounds to me like mostly a play on price. It sounds like a lot of kind of your value proposition is that you're going to do it cheaper. Can you help me understand how it is that you're able to do it cheaper if you're also sourcing? You have some pretty curated sourcing methods. You're going to farmers. You're pretty green conscious, but that usually comes at a cost because it's not. You're not able to do it as efficiently, as conveniently, and that typically impacts your bottom line. And it says that you're grossing or netting 20 to 25% versus the industry average of about 5 to 6%.
For plastic straws, yeah.
Per plastic straw, right? So what's it costing you, and how are you able to get it down to be so cheap?
Absolutely, and thank you for your kind words before.
Sure.
On the topic of sustainable sourcing, like I mentioned, the plantations, actually we get them for about the same price as our competitors here in the United States. So we have plants in Ningbo of China, we have them in Bangkok, we have them in Venezuela, we have them in Georgia, and we have a plant in New Hampshire that can also produce for us. Now, the cornstarch waste products, a lot of that happens overseas. A lot of our products that we use, candy, cooking oil, some are made in the United States, sure, but a lot of it happens in China. And those plants, I was actually frustrated with the fact that tariffs were coming onto this product and all kinds of other stuff that were actually going to be jacking up the price that wouldn't have made it effective. So I started thinking, what are some other ways that I could do this to get cornstarch or other products, like maybe sugarcane? That's another way that you can make PLA. And so what I did is I found these plants and I started talking to them as a research student. And they said that, we generally throw out about like 50 pounds of cornstarch waste, every time after every batch. And they make, tons of batches a day. And I don't know why they don't use them. They literally throw it out. And so I said, okay, well, can I buy it from you? And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, would you be willing to sell that to me and just ship it to this place that's kind of close to you? And they're like, I guess so. And so we got that contract going. We also have exclusivity with 2 plants that do that. So it enables us to cut our costs compared to our competitors because we're able to get them at a cheaper price, literally essentially just taking waste. Now, that's only good to handle about 20 million straws a month. So we also have backup plants that, again, go from other plants that keep our costs relatively the same as our competitors, but we're able to inject those other costs. Literally, we pay 10 cents per pound on cornstarch waste, when an average cornstarch thing is like $2, $3 or somewhere in that range. And so that we can just keep using that for 20 million straws, and as we're going to like 50 million, well, that's still a good 40% of our
So you have 20 million straws being used per
No,
month?
so we're actually fully relying on that. We're actually
Right.
getting to about, like I said, we're getting to 6 million straws right now to date, and
Gotcha.
we're talking with other franchises that will put us significantly over 20 million straws. So I spent a lot of time developing the infrastructure of this, and we have backup plantations as well as a plant that makes PLA here in Georgia that I can also source from. Now, that's not sustainably sourced in the same way. It's the source just like our competitors. But in order to keep up with volume as well, why I keep finding more plants to make exclusivity with, or if not, have that be able to buy their waste, I have backup supply.
Understood.
Now, in terms of marketing as a price competition, I don't target the same people I think our competitors are going to. A lot of them are like restaurants, distributors. Distributors are the go-to market. You work with a distributor, you're in everywhere. Well, I go after franchises. I go after high-volume clients. I go after businesses and corporate centers. Because in contracts, from what I'm understanding, they can literally tell their distributor, I want this product. You have to stock it. And you can charge your standard markup. As long as you're making money, I'm making money, but I want their product. And they have to say, okay, because it's in their contract. A lot of them, not all of them, but from how we've been working, that's how it's been working out so far. So with Elevation Burger, that's exactly how that went down. And not only are we now working with Elevation Burger and PFG, we're going open source with PFG, so that anyone in PFG, as a third largest distributor in the United States, can buy our products off of their catalog.
Well done.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic presentation and description of the market potential in the food service industry. Have you thought about the medical industry as the amount of plastics that are used throughout the medical industry, both external to the human body and internal to the human body as something that then needs to be removed surgically? And all the disposable plastic waste that supports really many of the great innovations in healthcare over the last 100 years. Absolutely.
I guess I see where you're going with that. I'm not sure I understand your question.
The question is, is your product, your idea,
Sure, the material,
a logical alternative to plastic devices that are used right now
I see what
in
you're
the healthcare industry?
So in terms of medical, I was kind of going on the same path with you. There's a company, and I don't know anything about medical, so I'm not ready to deal with that regulation or anything involved around it. But I do know that there's a company making screws out of the same material that we're using. And those screws, instead of being metal in like your hip or your knee when something gets out of place, when your bone fuses together, well, it naturally degrades in your body within about 2 years, and it doesn't hurt you at all.
Right.
So
That's exactly where I'm getting at. And
Yeah,
I think it's
so-
another market that is a huge market.
it's a huge market. It's definitely on top.
Whether it's external to the human body and a plastic cup that's used inside the hospital as the most simplistic, but something that may be implantable in the human body that could either be resorbed or may have to be removed, or offers less of an allergic reaction than some other plastics that are put in the human body that cause idiosyncratic allergic reactions. So,
Sure. Okay.
Question, how have you protected yourself from barrier to entry? I mean, 5 of us might decide to walk out of here, get a contract with a cornstarch, and then just one-up you. How are you keeping your particular uniqueness, giving you the opportunity to scale up and possibly enter some of these other areas of opportunities for you?
Can you repeat that last part? The health.
How are you trying to get protecting yourself so other organizations don't come up and
Sure.
accelerate and basically put you out of business?
Understood completely. I get that all the time. One is the exclusivity we have with our supply partners that enable us to keep our costs down. If we don't have exclusivity, it's a general plant that we find. Basically, what we do is we just put contracts in place, and these contracts are very rigid. There's no escape clauses. I have an advisory board that has vast background in the food service industry, contract development, business development, and supply chain, and they've all helped me with my contracts that enable me to be secure. So with people that we're working with right now, we have a 1-year contract in place just to get everything in set, and with a provision to extend for 5 years. And that's every contract, and we already have 2 of them in place, and we have 5 more being reviewed and vetted right now that we're looking to. So contract security as well as exclusivity with our raw material are the 2 main ways that we're enabling ourselves to be protected.
Hey, Cameron, excuse me, very nice job. And it's clear you have command of the subject matter, which is really enjoyable for the five of us sitting here, so really well done.
Thank you.
Kind of a question and an observation. It seems that you've got the tailwinds behind you in the market, which is great news for a young company.
I appreciate it.
It also means you've got a very competitive landscape with N number of competitors out there. It leads me to an observation and a question. In looking at your financials, this is a market you're going to have to move really, really fast before you get usurped.
Well, I didn't
And
wanna
you're
come-
pardon, I'll get to my question. In looking at the salaries, I don't think you've allocated enough capital in the infrastructure of the organization, sales, people. The salaries are simply too low. You're going to need to raise more money, spend more money on the people to move this company much more quickly. My observation is otherwise you're going to get run over by people who are moving much more quickly with resources. So how do you think about perhaps rethinking the financials, investing more on the people side to accelerate the pace of your market penetration?
So I do have a team, a sales team, and thank you, by the way. I do have a sales team that works on a small commission on our profits. In our areas, we have 5 right now. We just got 2 more in DC that all work with food service companies. And the 2 that we just got actually work with a chicken distributor and an organic market distributor. And I have a meeting with them next week when I get back to talk about putting our product in there. So we have a sales team building. I see what you're saying. I didn't want to be that guy that comes up here saying, we're going to do $150 million in the next 5 years, and we need $1 million, only $1 million to do it. That's not right. I am currently looking at, that's why I'm here, for one, is to get some capital to do this, as well as the fact that I have an advisory board that is also looking to be our investors as well, that they understand the fact that I need to work on this a lot more than I am right now and start developing.
Sorry, one final question?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. What is the capital you need to actually execute your business plan? I know there's 40,000 on the line today, but what do you actually need in terms of capital raise to execute your business plan as it sits today?
About $60,000 the current way that we're operating. And so 40,000 there, I've already got the other 20.
Great.
And
Thank you.
So I know what I'm here for as well. Okay, then I can just stop.
Cameron and American University.
Thank you.